There's a strange contradiction happening right now. In 2026, humanity is living in the richest era in history. Technology is exploding. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries. Markets are hitting record highs, and billionaires are adding billions to their wealth faster than ever before. Yet somehow, millions of people are still broke. Not just struggling, not just behind, completely stuck, working every day, paying bills every month, watching prices rise, while their bank accounts barely move. So the real question is this: how is it possible that in the most prosperous era ever, so many people still feel financially trapped? The answer isn't simple, and the truth behind it is far harsher than most people realize. Because the real reason many people stay broke in 2026 isn't just about spending habits. It's about how the system works, how people think, and the financial rules that almost nobody was ever taught. And once you see it, you'll never look at money the same way again. But first, you need to see what's really happening at the top. The gap between rich and poor has never looked like this before. While millions of people worry about rent, groceries, and gas, the wealthiest individuals on the planet are experiencing the biggest wealth boom in modern history. In just a single year, the world's richest people collectively added trillions of dollars to their net worth. Trillions. That kind of number is almost impossible to imagine. But what makes it even more shocking is how concentrated that wealth has become. A tiny fraction of the population now controls more money than billions of people combined. And this isn't slowing down. In fact, the rise of technology, artificial intelligence, and global investment markets is accelerating it. When markets go up, asset owners benefit the most. And guess who owns the majority of those assets? Not the average worker, not the average family, but a small group of investors, founders, and long-term asset holders. And that leads to the first harsh reality most people never hear. The economy might be growing, but the benefits are not distributed evenly. And if you're not positioned correctly inside that system, you can work harder every year and still fall behind. But the wealth gap alone doesn't explain everything, because there's another trap quietly keeping millions of people stuck, and most people don't even realize they're inside it. Right now, millions of people are living what economists call the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. It works like this: money comes in, bills go out, and almost nothing stays. Rent, food, transportation, insurance, utilities, subscriptions, debt payments. By the time everything is paid, there's barely anything left. Sometimes, nothing. So when an unexpected expense shows up, a medical bill, a car repair, a job interruption, creates financial chaos almost instantly. This cycle is more common than most people realize. Even people with decent salaries report feeling like they can't get ahead, because in many places, the cost of living has increased faster than wages. Housing prices have climbed, food costs have risen, transportation expenses have surged, and the more expensive life becomes, the harder it is to build financial breathing room. So people adapt the only way they know how. They work longer hours, they take side hustles, they push themselves harder. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Working harder alone rarely solves the problem, because the biggest financial advantage in modern economies isn't labor, it's ownership. And that's where the real game begins. There are two ways people make money. The first is the way most people know. You trade time for income. You work, you get paid. Simple. But there's a second system operating quietly in the background. Ownership, owning stocks, owning businesses, owning real estate, owning investments that grow over time. And here's the critical difference. When you rely only on income, your money grows linearly. 1 hour worked equals 1 hour paid. But ownership changes the equation completely. Assets can grow without your time. They can increase in value while you sleep. They can generate income automatically. And over long periods, this creates a massive advantage, because assets compound. Money invested today can grow tomorrow, and then grow again. On top of that growth, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. Small at first, but eventually enormous. And this is one of the biggest reasons wealth concentrates so dramatically. People who own assets see their wealth multiply. People who rely only on wages often stay in place. But the system alone isn't the entire story, because even when people earn more money, something strange tends to happen, and it keeps them stuck in the exact same financial position. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it quietly destroys wealth. Here's how it works. Someone gets a raise, or a promotion, or a better paying job. Their income increases, but instead of their wealth increasing, their lifestyle expands. A nicer apartment, a newer car, more expensive vacations, more subscriptions, more monthly commitments. Each upgrade feels small in the moment, but over time, these upgrades absorb the entire income increase. So even though someone is earning significantly more than before, they still feel just as broke, because their expenses rose at the exact same speed as their income. And this trap is everywhere. Social media amplifies it even further. People constantly see luxury lifestyles online, expensive cars, designer clothes, exotic travel, and without realizing it, many begin spending money to keep up with an image, an appearance of success. But appearances can be dangerously misleading, because many people who look wealthy are actually deeply in debt, and the pressure to maintain that lifestyle only tightens the financial trap. But there's another factor making the situation even worse, something almost nobody was properly taught. Most people spend over a decade in school, learning history, learning science, learning mathematics. But when it comes to money, many people receive almost no real education. They're taught how to earn income, but rarely how to build wealth. They learn how to work, but not how to invest. They understand paychecks, but not compounding. And without that knowledge, many people unknowingly repeat the same financial patterns year after year. Spend most of what they earn, save a little if anything, delay investing, and assume wealth is something that only happens to other people. But the truth is much simpler. Wealth usually follows predictable patterns: long-term investing, asset ownership, patience, consistency, and time. Lots of time, because the most powerful force in finance isn't luck, it's compounding. And compounding rewards those who start early and stay consistent. But there's one final reality that makes this entire situation even more intense in 2026. And once you understand it, everything starts to make sense. The modern economy rewards leverage. Not just financial leverage, but informational leverage. People who understand markets, technology, investing, and ownership have a massive advantage. They know how to position themselves in growing industries. They recognize opportunities earlier. They build assets instead of only relying on income. Meanwhile, people without that knowledge often remain stuck in survival mode, focused on immediate bills rather than long-term strategy. And it's not because they're less intelligent, it's because nobody showed them the rules of the game. But here's the part that changes everything. Once you understand the rules, you can start playing differently, because building wealth rarely happens overnight. It happens through small decisions repeated over years. Choosing assets over liabilities, choosing long-term growth over short-term appearance, choosing patience over impulse. And those choices slowly change the trajectory of a financial life. Which brings us to the harsh reality behind the question we started with. Why are so many people still broke in 2026? Not because opportunity doesn't exist, and not because wealth creation is impossible, but because the system rewards knowledge, ownership, and patience. And those three things are rarely taught early enough. The good news is this. Once you see how the system actually works, you can stop playing by the default rules and start building a different financial future. Because the difference between staying broke and building wealth often isn't income, it's awareness. And sometimes, awareness is the most valuable asset of all.